Ladies and gentlemen, emergency news. Emergency right now. Now you're looking at this, you're like, I've seen that already. There's another tweet. Another tweet just went down, and it seems like every day they're tweeting about what's coming in a DLC. So I like it. Good marketing. Love that. So this is the feudal landmark bonuses that we discussed. Now we have the castle landmarks, and I'm about to reveal them. Can somebody link me that Reddit thread, if possible, with all the units that which unit you're getting at with which ally for a Knights Templar? So Age of Empires 4 has tweeted, the castle age is here. The Angevin Empire offers you enhanced fortresses and docks. The Republic of Genoa offers you increased gold from your pilgrims. The Kingdom of Castile offers you boost to units near sacred sites. Oh, okay, let's see it. Which choice will you make? By the way, I am butchering all these names. Don't at me, okay? It is what it is. This is castle age ups. So when you age up to castle, you choose between the 3 allies. You cannot have all 3, just you choose 3. Fortresses and docks gain 30% extra health. Okay, I am now convinced what I said before about the fortresses, okay? I said yesterday, I made a video about the, they tweeted about fortresses and what they do, and it's like their unique keeps. And now I am convinced with the choice number A, fortresses don't gain 30% health. I guarantee you that their fortresses have lower HP than keeps. It only makes sense. I think their fortresses are cheaper than a keep. You can build them in feudal. And that's why you have upgrade for them with the health. Republic of Genoa. Pilgrims generate 30% gold. The thing is, we don't know what pilgrims do. There's been speculations, I see in the chat, that they're traders. That they're like trading between the fortresses. I have seen a theory that pilgrims go to sacred sites to generate gold. I have seen ideas that pilgrims are just monks. So we don't know what they actually do, but it says they generate 30% extra gold, which means it doesn't use the same terminology like for traders when they give more gold, which I am assuming the pilgrims are the ones that are on the sacred sites doing something to it and probably generating gold that way. Units near sacred sites gain 20% damage? What? And regenerate health. Wait, it's like Kurultai around sacred sites? Okay, let me go back to this one. So now we can see the connections between these, right? Knights Hospitalier increases the health of all civilian units. I'm assuming pilgrims are civilian units, right? They count as civilian units. And increases healing from all sources by 30%. There is a chance that pilgrims are their monks, because I think they might be generating gold on sacred sites by doing something. And then if you go for this, and then your playstyle is to control the sacred sites so your pilgrims can generate gold, and those two make sense. But this one, units near sacred sites gain 20% damage and regenerate health. I mean, that's an obvious, like, if you wanna hold sacred sites. But if pilgrims do generate gold from going to sacred sites and back, or just staying at the sacred sites, it makes sense to go for this, right? I think this is a bit of a bait, because it's just like, you're getting gold and now you're getting more gold. But if you get this, you can get more gold consistently, if that makes sense. I think we saw their monks already. Did we? Is there a screenshot that shows their monks? We did see them? Okay, so pilgrims are something different then. But we don't know how it works. So it's all speculating, right? And it's kind of pointless seeing these bonuses, because we don't know what pilgrims are. Like, do you make them out of town center? Do you get them from fortresses? Do you get them for free? Do you get them in feudal? Do you get them in castle? Like, where do you get them? By the way, something I wanted to mention that I kind of forgot last time, talking about team games with Knights Templars. So, if you play team games, increases the health of all civilian units by 30%, increases healing from all sources by 30%. If you play like Knights Templar plus Delhi, that would mean that their scholars are healing you 30% more. If you're playing with English King or there's Abbey of Kings or something like that, you can basically get more healing from your allies as well. Okay, so the first one, fortresses and docks gain 30%. This is a defensive one, obviously, right? This is just potentially a water one because of the docks, but we don't know what their docks actually do. But you get a spearman. You get a spearman with the shield. So again, we don't know what exactly this thing is going to do. Maybe it's going to be like a tankier spearman. But this one seems pretty like maybe like fortress camping or something like that. The thing is, this bonus might look very good, but I don't think it's very good. Okay, in a noob play, I think this is a good one. In competitive, I cannot see you not go for this. This is insanely good. You can always pick fights around sacred sites. Obviously, it's gonna depend on maps, but like, even if you play on Dry Arabia, I mean, imagine King of the Hill, right? King of the Hill, you just fight on the middle and you get 20% damage and regenerate health. The second one is the unique crossbow with the shield. It seems that the Castle Age Up, I mean, both this one and this one are basic units like crossbow and spear with shields on. So they might just be very tanky and just better versions of those units. And then the last one, oh, the last one is interesting. The last one, you get the Horseman Javelin Throwers, which again, I think will be the most overpowered unit out of these three. Javelin on a horse sounds crazy. That sounds crazy. So if this bonus is indeed the best, and then this unit is the best, then that's going to be an obvious choice for a high level, because these guys are probably going to require a lot of micro. Okay, so what do I think about this? These ones compared to these ones are completely like different, obviously, like completely different paths. And then what we do see is there are no eco bonuses in terms of increased gathering rate. Now we do see the 5% gold reduction, and in this one we see pilgrims generate 30% gold, but there are no villager bonuses. There's no your villagers gather faster or whatever else. And I also assume that the imperial one will not have that either, because if a feudal one, feudal allies and castle allies don't have it, it would make no sense for the imperial one to have like your villagers gather faster, because at that point you don't care about villagers gathering faster in the imperial, right? So I am assuming that the imperial one will be very similar to this, where it's like maybe there's going to be something for resource generation, maybe there's going to be something on like a discount based thing, but I'm assuming it's going to be units slash something, maybe even with pilgrims, because this is pilgrims, it seems, right? I mean, not only pilgrims, but it does buff pilgrims, so I'm kind of expecting imperial to have one of them as well. It's impossible to predict right now which one you're going to go for, and the reason for that is pilgrims. That's it. I mean, obviously we don't know what the unique upgrades are going to be, what the economy is going to be like, but we don't know what the pilgrims do, and that's the biggest problem. This upgrade here makes me believe that they do have healing in feudal. Either I'm kind of feeling that these guys have self-healing. I think that they're going to be like shinobi or scouts regenerating health. Because it would be very, like, it doesn't make sense. This increases health of units by 30%, that's fine. But then, if you don't have any healing, why would you put this in feudal age, right? Like, yeah, you can say, yeah, you can use it later on, but it doesn't make any sense that it's in feudal age, right? So, they have to have some kind of healing or regeneration in feudal. But we don't know what that is, okay? So, number one. Number two, like I said, pilgrims, we don't know what they do, and we don't know when they're available even. Like, there's so many things about them. How they work, where do you make them from? Do you even make them? What if you get them for free? What if each fortress gives you a pilgrim? Because it says, in the previous one, it said, each fortress you make increases the amount of pilgrims you can have, or something like that, right? But we don't know what that is. So let's assume for the sake of this video, that pilgrims, you can create them in castle, and they go to sacred sites, and they get gold. Okay, that's what they do. Let's assume that. In that case, you could go for an option A into option C. So increases the health of civilian units 30%, increases the healing from all sources, and then you go units near sacred sites gain 20% damage and regenerate health. Now this regenerate health, we don't know how much it is. Is it 1 health per second, 2 health per second? Is it more? We don't know. But it would actually work with this one. Increases the healing received, right? So that's like one combo you can do. And the units you would get is I'm assuming these guys are like men-at-arms. You would get men-at-arms plus javelin throwers. Cavalry javelin throwers. So if the opponent has to go crossbows, so you have men-at-arms plus range javelin throwers to kill the crossbows, right? So you can do combo like that. Another one that you can go for, which is just kind of an all-in, I guess. Military units are produced 50% faster and cost minus 5% gold. The thing is, this one, the only reason you go all in with this one is because it gives you access to knights, not because of the bonus. The bonus is actually pretty meh. It's good long term if you reach castle and onwards. Like it's just good because all military units are produced faster. Now, another thing that's very interesting that I haven't discussed last time, I mentioned that you're gonna go for Knights Hospitalier on water most likely, but you can actually go for Kingdom of France because your army ships will produce 50% faster and cost 5% less gold. So your demo ship and your sprinkle ships are going to be a bit cheaper. And you get access to knights, right? Which, have in mind, if Fortress is able to produce units similar to White Tower from English, if you don't need to build a production building on land and you can make a knight out of it, that's really, really strong, right? That's really, really strong. Now, what's a bit confusing to me is this bonus. The docks gain 30% health. That's a bit of a weird one, right? Because if you have a bonus, like your keeps or your towers gain health, that's good. But your docks gaining health? Like, if the enemy's shooting at your docks, you probably lost water already, right? So that one is a bit confusing to me. Which kind of makes me wonder if their docks are doing something unique. Like maybe their arrow slitting placement are stronger. Maybe their docks can shoot on land as well. You know, we don't know. But that's a bit of a weird one. It makes me believe that their docks have something else too. If you go for Kingdom of France on land maps, like I said, it's just you get access to knights. And one good way to pair these knights with would be with the crossbows. So you would go B into B, and then pilgrims generate 30% gold, which kind of lines up with what you're making. So you would be making knights, and then you would be making the crossbows, and then pilgrims would generate more gold, and you have a gold discount. So it kind of syncs up pretty well, right? It doesn't make sense to do this and then do this, because you also gain knights into spearmen, which doesn't make sense, right? So I think some of these age ups will have synergy, some will just not. So for example, A plus C, I can see that being good, right? You go for this, then you go for this, and you kind of fight around sacred sites. Also, men-at-arms into javelin, horses, that sounds pretty good, right? Again, we don't know what the pilgrims will do, but you could potentially go A plus B as well. Right? You go men-at-arms into crossbows. It's a pretty standard comp. Nothing weird about that. But again, the A in here, I feel like just doesn't go well with anything. Because if you look at the unique units, knights into spearmen or men-at-arms into spearmen doesn't make much sense. But also these two bonuses into fortresses and dogs gain 30% health doesn't make sense either. Unless you're maybe playing... But the thing is, even if you're playing on like King of the Hill and you're building a fortress and sacred site, wouldn't you just want the damage on your units on the sacred site? So this one is a bit of a question mark for me. Like, where do you actually go for the Angevin Empire? Unless these guys are absolutely fucking cracked, I don't see when you would go for them. Maybe if you go like, but even if you go 2 town center, like they have to have some insane stats in order for you to go for this. Because the bonus kind of sucks ass, and the unit is not very good. Like in Castle, you wanna get power spike units. You wanna get something that can change the outcome of the game. A spearman coming out in Castle is not gonna change the outcome of the game, right? That doesn't make sense. But crossbows that are like juiced up, or horseman javelin throwers, can change the outcome of the game. So I'm not really sure about this one. Now, B plus A, again, it does make sense. B plus B is good, I think. Because, like I said, you get the military production, you get cost reduction, and then you can get knight crossbow. And if they're anything like, maybe they have some unique stuff like French. I mean, these guys definitely are better than the regular crossbow, right? So they potentially have something there, and it kind of synergizes these two as well. So that's kind of cool. If you're playing on water, I could see B plus A on water maps, right? Your military ships are produced faster, they are cheaper, and then you go for the dock gain 30% health, right? Because these two on water maps are probably not going to do too well, although this one might be good on water maps. We don't know. So B plus A can be possible, and then B plus C is also a good one. So B just seems like a safe choice, I guess. You get knights, you get a good bonus that's going to work for the rest of the game, and it synergizes well with the other castle ones, in my opinion. So like even if you're playing, think about Rus horse archers and knights. You could play knights plus javelin throwers. So if the opponent goes like spearman crossbow, you can use javelin throwers to kite and do some damage and so on and so forth. By the way, I am assuming these are javelin throwers because the way they're holding the spears. But it would be funny if they're just regular horsemen. Now, C is an interesting one because C, just from a buff point of view, seems the best. Melee units gain 10% damage is crazy, okay? Like, that is a crazy one. The reason for that is, melee units are not just spearmen and men-at-arms. They're horsemen and knights too. So all your melee units get 10% damage for the rest of the game, okay? For the rest of the game, and that's crazy. Now, where does the problem with this come in? Well, the problem is, these guys don't look very impressive. Like, if you look at them, they kind of look like Pepegas. You know what I mean? They kind of look like, I mean, he's got a little axe and a little shit shield. The armor's looking shit, so I'm assuming these are unarmored units. But we don't know what they do, right? So maybe they're like a unit that's super cheap. Maybe they're supposed to like, maybe they're barely better than a villager. I do not think that these guys have crazy stats. They might still be good, but they're probably light unit. And if your unique bonus is to unlock a light unit, I mean, okay, it depends what the unit does. But because they're carrying a shield and an axe, I'm assuming they're also not fast. What's that weapon? It's an axe. Maybe these guys do like 10, 12 damage a hit, but have no armor. So they're like spearmen with no armor, but they don't do bonus against cavalry. They just do high damage. It could be that, like a glass cannon unit. But if that's the case, let's say that's the case, what do you mix them with in Feudal Age? You go this and what? Archers? If you go this and the enemy has knights, you still have to go spearmen. So you have to go this plus spearmen. You see what I mean? And it kind of lines up with, if you see, the bonus is very good, but then the unit maybe not very good. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But that being said, if you go for this one, you can definitely go for the spearman after, because you have the 10% damage. So you could go C plus A, assuming these spearmen are actually good. Melee units do 10% damage, and then you got these Pepegas, which we don't know what they do. You can go crossbows, I guess, but it does not synergize, I think, too well. it would probably make more sense if you went C plus C. Also, if these guys are light units, like I am assuming, generating gold from sacred sites is going to be pretty hard because they're going to be pretty bad in straight up combat, right? If they're a light unit. So you would rather have men-at-arms or knights in that case. And then you get access to crossbows, which crossbows counter heavy units. This unit will probably get countered by light units. So again, not much synergy there. But that doesn't mean that you're never going to pick that combo, right? That's not what that means. Like, if the opponent has mass knight, you could go with the crossbow ally. Now, C plus C, on the other hand, seems kind of crazy. It seems kind of crazy. Melee units gain 10% damage, and then your units in your sacred sites gain 20% damage. Now, again, I am assuming this, that Knights Templar have archers, horsemen, and spearmen, right? They 100% have that. Archers, horsemen, and spearmen. Those are the basic units, and they have those, and I think we've seen those in the videos. I don't know if they have men-at-arms in Castle. I am assuming they do. And we don't know if they have knights in Castle. Maybe their only way to unlock knights is to go for the Kingdom of France. We don't know that. But you could play C into C and try to hold Sacred Side victory, and you can just mass melee units and then have some of these javelin guys to kill ranged units. It's possible. But your melee units would have 30% extra damage in your Sacred Side, which is kind of nuts, right? So you could go for something like fortresses on each Sacred Side, you capture them, and then you just mass like horsemen, these guys, and spearmen, and every time the opponent tries to take it, you just like zug in, kind of thing. And then your units do 30% extra damage, so you should be able to have better army, but probably not a lot of ranged units with it. So it's all assuming and guessing things at this point, because, yeah, like I said, we don't really know. But I'm liking where it's going, because it's very wild, it's very different from one another. I think this Civ is gonna be... It's gonna be very hard to balance it, not because everything is gonna be OP, but because you have so many choices and so many unique units. The stats of these units is so important. Like, so important. Like, if this spearman has just one ranged armor and that's it, like, that's it, it's just a spearman with one ranged armor, that sucks, right? If this knight is just like a regular knight, it's okay, right? But then if this crossbow got like 3 ranged armor or something, that's like crazy good, right? So this Civ will, depending which age up you go to, will heavily depend, I think, on how good the units are. Because maybe this bonus sucks, but maybe these spearmen are completely broken. So then you're just gonna go for that. And if the style with Knights Templar is to be super aggro, you're just gonna go for whatever is the best aggressively in feudal. Not necessarily what the best bonus is, like these ones. So we'll see. That's just kind of my predictions. Like I said, we don't know what's happening. We don't know what's up, but yeah. This is like when Biz came out, feels like a pay to win. You mean when Byzantine came out and it had like 35% win rate in Conquer and nobody could win a game with them? Yeah. The only Civ that had good win rate was JD. Every other Civ had negative win rate. Badly. Japanese had bad win rate. Ayubit had bad win rate. JD had good win rate. Jushi Legacy, people didn't even play it. And then OTD was Omega Low. And then JD got nerfed. Yeah. Yeah, OG JD was interesting to say the least. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. So they have tweeted something on Friday, then Monday, now it's Tuesday. So I'm just going to go with the assumption that tomorrow they're going to be tweeting either about another, maybe they do a tweet about, I'm going to predict. It's going to be a tweet about pilgrims and what they do, or the Imperial bonuses. Because it seems like they're going to do all Knight Templar stuff, and then after that, I'm going to go with House of Lancaster. They're going to do like little teases for that one. So if you're watching on YouTube, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate that, brother. Remember, Subathon I don't know the exact date yet, but I will be live 95% from 6th of April onwards on Twitch 24/7. Boom, right there. Thank you for watching, Twitch gamers. Let's keep going.